Good morning, everyone. My name's Tammy. We'll get started in a few minutes. Thanks so much for joining us so early. On your desk, you're going to see a couple of guides, or you would have brought in a couple of guides. One of them is a copy of the slide presentation that we go through. On the second page, we have login details. This is a hands-on training session, so we're going to give you some exercises that we're going to go through to help you build reports to drive agent productivity. On the second page, on the second slide, you're provided your login details. So we're going to do this as a group when we start the presentation, but go ahead and log in now if you'd like. And you'll see the username and you'll see 3 hashes. Those 3 hashes should be replaced by the unique code on your monitor. So take a look at your monitor in the top right-hand corner. Okay, we have 3 digits. That's what you're going to replace the hashes with on the username. Any issues logging in, just hold up your hand and we can help you out. Plenty of helpers at the back as well. Okay, we'll get started in a few minutes. Password would help as well. I'm so sorry. Once you put in your username, the password is password1. So password all lowercase and then the number 1. Okay, folks, we'll get started. We'll just leave it one more minute. There's just a couple of people that are trickling in, so we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Those of you that have just arrived, again, you can log into your test org now if you'd like. Again, we will do this as a group, but if you take a look at your guide on the second page, the guide that looks like copies of a PowerPoint slide, on the second page you'll have details for a training org. So we're going to have hands-on exercise. On the second page, you'll see information about your username. So go ahead and log in to Salesforce using your username, and you'll see 3 hashes, and you'll just replace that with the unique code on your monitor in the top right-hand corner. Okay? And the password you're going to use is password1. Password, okay, all in lowercase, and then the number 1. Okay, any issues logging in, just put up your hand and one of our lovely helpers will assist you. Can we just get some help back there? Great, fantastic. All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone to our first hands-on session of the day. Thank you so much for coming in so early, 7:30. I'm quite impressed. How many people went to the Black Crowes concert last night? Anyone? Good effort. Hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed that concert. Okay, so welcome to our hands-on training session. This hour we're going to be focusing on building reports to analyze agent productivity. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on support agents. Now, when we go in and take a look at reports, you can apply the walking through creating reports on any area in Salesforce, but we are going to be building these reports to focus on support. Okay, so let's continue on with our slides. Again, you're given 2 guides when you came into the door. One of them is a copy of the PowerPoint slides that we go through, so you can use this as a reference. So my name's Tammy Lamb. I'm the Master Instructor at Salesforce. I've been with Salesforce for approximately 3 years, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I'm currently a Certified Administrator, and my next credential is Advanced Certified Administrator. I have Ben Liu at the front with me, who's my driver. Ben's an instructor based in our Singapore office. And we have plenty of helpers that are eager to help. So helpers, can you raise your hand, please? Okay. So if you have any trouble through our exercises, please don't hesitate to raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. So any of you that sat through any of the presentations, including the keynote presentation, I'm sure you've seen our safe harbor statement. This is just letting you know that there may be some forward-looking statements that affect current and future marketing offerings. The results may differ. And some of the features that you see in this presentation may or may not be included in your purchased edition. So please make sure that all your admin and implementation decisions are based on the edition that you have. All right, you can get that on our website as well if you want to take a look at that in more detail. Okay, so everyone's logged into their training org. Anyone need a hand logging in? Okay, well, we'll log in ourselves. So Ben, if you want to open up your browser, we're logged into Salesforce. Okay, so when you log in, just put in your username and password. And again, your password, the number for your username will be found on your monitor in the top right-hand corner. And then we'll just log in with password 1. Great. Okay, let's get into our presentation. Okay, so in terms of what we're going to be covering in this 1 hour of training, we're going to take a look at some key performance indicators that management or VPs of the support area will be focusing on. Okay, we'll take a look at some of the reports, some of the metrics that someone in a VP or a manager of support would be keen to focus on. We'll take a look at using the report options in the report wizard in Salesforce. We'll go in and we'll customize reports. And we're going to give you 3 hands-on exercises focusing on building reports to track agent productivity. Okay. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. All right, so this is some of the topics that we'll be covering. So this is Brian Dixon. Brian Dixon is our VP of support. Okay, so he's going to want some really fast, effective reports in order to monitor his team's case performance targets. He'll also want to analyze his team's open cases on performance data. Okay, want to make sure that his support team is meeting quota, and he'll also want to measure his team's satisfaction levels. So these are some of the areas that the VP of support is going to want to focus on when it comes to monitoring their team's performance. And he's going to need some fast, reliable data that's going to give him a high-level overview of how his team is working, but he'll also need to also be able to drill down to the details as well. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the detailed metrics that he'll be looking at and focusing on. So some of the reports that the VP of support may want to focus on is creating a report to track open cases created by an agent and also show them by priority as well. Okay. He may also want to take a look at total open cases by agents by status. Okay, so this is a way that he can track the workload for each of his agents and make sure it's evenly distributed. Okay, you may want to see open cases by agent by month, and this is also a way that he can track trends. You know, maybe there's a peak in certain months when it comes to open cases. Okay, very important for us to also track, are our customers satisfied with our service? Okay, so we're going to go in and take a look at this custom field we created where we're tracking customer satisfaction score. And if you're tracking that type of information, okay, you'll want to be able to show that type of information. So we may want to show customer satisfaction score by agent and also the average customer satisfaction score. And we'll also may want to see total closed cases by month by agent. So those are some of the key metrics that a support person, support manager, or the VP of support would want to be taking a look at. Now, Salesforce has a reports wizard. The reports wizard walks you step by step on creating a report. Okay, so all the data that you have in Salesforce, you can pull it out in a report. Now, what you see on the screen here is an example of the reports wizard and some of the report filter options at the very top. So at the very top, we see that once we create a report and we run a report, at the top we have some filters where we can very easily customize and change the criteria. So that would be including how you group the information. On the screen over here in the left-hand side, we can see that we're currently grouping by case owner. We could very quickly change that by just using that pick list filter. Okay. We can change the date range, so the time frame. So you might be wanting to track cases by year. You can very quickly change that to quarter to month. Okay. And you can also choose to view cases by status. So whether it's an open case, whether you just want to look at your closed cases. Okay. So this is a way in the reports wizard that we can very easily and very quickly change the criteria. Okay, so when we run a report, we'll go in and we'll show that you have a customize button. At any stage when you run reports, you can customize it, change the criteria, and then you can decide if you want to save it as a new report or save over the existing report. So the reports wizard, as I mentioned, it walks us step by step on creating the report that we want. So we first choose the report format. Okay, so we decide whether or not we want a tabular report, summary, or matrix. Tabular report will just give you a list of information. This is just a very basic report showing you a list of information. You can display a grand total at the very bottom, but what you can't do is show subtotals, okay, or you can't group. Okay, we also have a summary report, which allows you to subtotal as well as group. And finally, we have a matrix report, which allows us to subtotal and group, both horizontally and vertically. In our exercises, we're going to go through creating both a summary report and matrix. Okay? You can decide how you want to group the information. Okay, you'll be able to decide what information you want to see. So what columns of information you want to display in your report. You can even decide what order you want to display the information. Okay? And step 6, very important, step, this is where you select your criteria, right? So you can put in detailed filters of what you want to see or what data you want to pull out of your report. And we'll also see that you have the ability to add charts and highlights. So every time you run a report, you can show a nice component, a nice graph, a nice chart to display the data in a visual way. Okay, so those are our steps when we're creating a report. So let's take a look at our first exercise. So the second manual that you've been given is an exercise guide that looks a little bit like this. And this will walk you step by step all of our exercises. Okay, now building reports, we do have quite a few clicks. So feel free to follow along in your guide. It might actually be easier for this 1-hour session to listen to the click-throughs. Okay, at any stage, if you get lost, please just raise your hand and one of our helpers will assist you. So what are we doing in this first exercise? Well, this first exercise, Brian wants to be able to track total open cases by agent, by priority. So we want to take a look at one of the standard reports that we have called total open cases. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to customize that and create our very own report. So Brian wants to know the total open cases by agent, by priority for his team. So we're going to run a standard report, we're going to specify the report options, and we're going to customize the report. What I always tell people, before you go in and run a report, have a think about what you want it to look like at the end. So you almost start at the end. If you picture what information do you want to display, how do you want the information to display, how do you want it to be grouped, have an idea of how you want it to look like at the end, and almost work backwards to help you build the report that you want. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and let's work on our first exercise. So now that we're all logged into Salesforce, let's jump into Salesforce. And as I mentioned, we're going to be working off a standard report that comes out of the box. So go ahead and click onto the Reports tab. Okay. And in the Reports tab, you should see a folder that's called Support Reports. Okay. You can even go to your folder listing and choose the folder called Support Reports. So you can either choose the folder or open up the folder in your display. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the second report called Total Cases Created by Agent. This is a standard report. Okay. We know it's a standard report because we don't see the links on the left-hand side to edit, to delete, to export. Okay, so here we have total cases created by agent. Now, if you run the report, you might not see any results, and we just have to adjust our time frame. Okay, so this is where we see an example of how you can very quickly change your report options without having to go into the wizard. So where you see time frame, the start date, let's assume we want to see all the total cases from the 1st of January. Excuse me. All right, so we can quickly change the time frame. Click Run Report. And there we can see we've run a report starting from all cases opened in January 1st to today. So what we're looking at the standard report is that we're grouping cases by owner. So we can see Andrew, Melissa, Phil, they all have owned a number of cases. We also have an owner called the support queues. Queues are available in certain areas in Salesforce. This is another way that you can have a case owned by something other than a person. Okay, so a queue is a way that you can have a case assigned to this queue and have members associated to this queue. So here we have an example of total cases created by agent. Now I want to specify this a little bit more. Okay, I want to be able to see only open cases, and I also want to track it by priority as well. So not only do I want to see how many only open cases an agent has, but also by priority. So this report's okay, but let's go in and customize it so that we can tweak it a little bit. So go ahead and click on to Customize. You'll see a button. And this is where we're going to jump in to the Reports wizard. And this is where we'll see that it'll walk us through step by step. So we're currently in step 2 of 7 of the wizard. Okay, and you can see that in the top right-hand corner. So how are we going to sum this information? Well, we want to sum the open cases. So you're going to find your open field, and you're going to tick sum. Excellent. Let's go on to the next step. So we'll click on to the next step. And the next step, this is a way that we're grouping the information. So rather than showing one big list of cases, we're going to group it by case owner. We saw that when we ran the report. Well, when you group information, you can subgroup. Okay? You can subgroup by 2 more levels. So not only do I want to group the information by case owner, by agent, but I also want to see it by priority by agent. So in your second grouping, we're looking for priority. Excellent. And we can even choose one further way of grouping the information, but we're just happy with case owner and priority. So go ahead and click Next. All right, now thinking about our cases, there are a lot of fields available on the case record, a lot of fields available on the account record. So what information do you want to pull out in your report? Okay, so we have some fields that have already been ticked. We're just going to simplify this a little bit. We're going to untick open. So take a look at your first column. You're going to see open. Let's untick that, uncheck it. We're also going to uncheck date time opened in the second column. We're going to uncheck closed. And we're also going to uncheck in the last column age hours. Okay. We have an option to uncheck other information if you don't need to see it, like account name, but we might want to see account name in this report. So we'll leave everything else. Okay. Anyone need a hand? Please just raise your hand. All right, fantastic. So we've decided what fields of information we want to see in our report. Let's move on to the next step. In this next step, okay, from the previous step, we chose a number of columns that we wanted to display. This step is a way that we can order the fields that will display from left to right. Okay, so top to bottom is going to display the columns from left to right. So you can reorder the columns if you like. We're happy with the default order, so let's go ahead and click Next. And here we have our criteria. Okay, so out of all the cases, which cases do you want to pull out in this report? Okay. Now at the very top, we can change our time frame. We actually did that before we walked into the reports wizard, but we could have changed the time frame at this step as well in the criteria step. Okay. But right now, we're going to show all cases where the open date was from January 1st to today. So now let's drill down to the advanced filters. I want to put more specific criteria in there. If I'm looking at total created cases by agent by priority, I just want to see the open cases. So let's go ahead and in our first advanced filter, let's choose open. So you're looking for the filter. So you'll see when you use this pick list, this is showing you every single field available on cases as well as accounts. Okay. So let's go ahead and find our filter open. You're going to use the operator equals, and you're going to use your lookup to select true. Now you could always type in the word true as well, but the reports, it's nice whenever you see that icon that allows you to look up the values. It's a lot easier than typing it out, and you don't have to worry about typos either. Okay, so that's our advanced filters, open equals true. Now remember when we ran the original report, we also saw cases that were owned by the support queue. We're not concerned about seeing those cases, so let's filter out all those cases that are owned by the support queue. Okay, so we want case owner alias, not to contain, does not contain, and we could use either the word support or we can also use the word queue. So this is where you will have to type it out. Okay, so does not contain, Ben's just popped in queue. You could also use the word support. Now there's one more step to go to charts and highlights, but we're just going to leave that step for the time being, and let's go ahead and run the report. And what we can see here, Brian has the visibility of seeing open cases by support agent by priority. So why metrics is going to be important? He's going to be able to see whether the workload is evenly distributed. From my report, I can see Melissa has far more cases than the other support reps. So maybe we need to offload some of those cases and assign them to other support people. We can also see by priority, it looks like a majority of her cases are medium. Okay, so not high critical, but still medium. So we definitely want to keep track of that. Okay. So by creating a report and running your report, you can see the details here. And what we are seeing actually is the summarized version. We're actually not seeing the detailed cases. So if you ever want to see, this is just a summed version, right? If you want to see the details, right, what you can do is you can click onto the button above that says Show Details. Okay, so if you look above, you're going to see a button that says Show Details. So you know how we're grouping the information, right? Well, if I actually want to see those cases or in those priorities by agent, we can open it up. And this is where Brian can actually drill down to the original case. And he can do this. This is another great functionality about reports, is that those links will drill down to the case record. So Brian, if he's looking at one of the cases and he wants to see that case in more detail, he can simply right-click onto the case name and either open it up in a new window or open it up in a new tab. Okay, so by opening it up in a new tab, he can view the case record so he can see more details in there. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our report. Okay. We can even go ahead and hide details. So let's go ahead and just use that summarized view. Okay, so hide details. We're looking at this report, okay, and we can even do one better. There's an area in Salesforce where you can apply charts and conditional highlighting. Highlighting is used to make numbers a little bit more outstanding, right? So let's say if the number reaches, if there's more than 20 records, I want to show that in red. You know, I want to be able to see that that's critical. Anything less than, say, 8 will show as green. That's okay. Okay? So we can do that by clicking on to Customize. This is an additional step that's not in your exercise, but I just want to show you how to apply conditional highlighting. At any point when you run reports, you can go back and customize it. And you can do this as often as you want until you get the perfect report. So let's say we want to do a little bit better. We're going to go into Customize. And using the top right-hand pick list, this is a way that you can jump steps. So in the top right, what we can do is we can select the last step. That's how we apply charts and highlights. So we'll get into charts in the next exercises. Let's focus on highlighting. So let's scroll down to the bottom. And this is where you can apply conditional highlighting. Highlighting is applied on summed amounts, not on detailed amounts. Okay, so not, you remember how we saw each of those case records, each line? You cannot apply conditional highlighting on those, just on summed amounts. So what do we want to highlight? Well, if we choose the first line, summary total, we're going to highlight the sum of open. Okay, our low break point, we're going to put in 8. And for our high break point, we're going to put in 20. Now at the moment, what this would display is that any one with 20 cases or greater is going to show up as green. And anyone with less than 8 is going to show up as red. I kind of want to use it as reverse. I want to use red, showing me that there's too many cases with that agent. So what we're going to do is we're just going to reverse the colors. So Ben's starting with green. Next to green, on the right-hand side, you'll see an icon. This will allow you to choose any color. Now you can go ahead and choose pink. You can choose purple. You can choose blue. You can choose any color. Red, green, and yellow are nice because it means something to most people. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to change that to red. And then we're going to change red to green. Okay, anyone need a hand? Just raise your hand. All right, so now let's take a look at how our report's changed. Let's go ahead and run the report. And now Brian, not only can he see his report, but he sees some outstanding numbers. Very quickly, he can see, ooh, Melissa has more than 20. In fact, she has 33. And he can see that right away when he looks at the report. Okay, so now that we've created our report, we've customized it, we're happy with this. Now, we don't want to build this report every single day or every single time we want to look at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to save it. And by saving it, Brian can run this exact same report at any stage without having to build it from scratch. So at the very top, you're going to see the fourth button that says Save As. So go ahead and click on to Save As. And we are going to call this report Total Open Cases. Okay, and then in the report description, your report name has to be quite short, but in your report description, you can put a lot more details. And best practices, put in a good report description, because over a period of time, you're going to have dozens and dozens of reports, and they're all going to say case reports or support reports. So put in a nice description so you can differentiate it. So in our description, let's call this Total Open Cases by Agent by Priority. And here you can choose to save it in a reports folder. So you can save it under My Personal Custom Reports folder, meaning only you can access this report. Or you can save it in a public folder, okay, unfiled public reports. Or you can go ahead and create a new custom folder to store this information in. Okay, so let's go ahead and file this under Agent Productivity Reports. Click Save. And now, if we take a look at the top folder, so when you save it, you should be on this screen here, viewing all of your reports folder. And if you access your Agent Productivity Reports folder, okay, go ahead and click onto that, you'll be able to see your new report in here. So by giving access to this reports folder to Brian, or Brian creates this himself, he's able to run the report in real time. So if he runs the report right now, we've seen the results. But if he runs the same report tomorrow, next week, next month, those results may differ because it's always going to give real-time information. Okay. All right, excellent. So that covers our first exercise. Let's go back to our training deck. And let's take a look at another exercise. Okay. Anyone here tracking information like customer satisfaction? Anyone here? Okay, a few of you? Excellent. Okay. These days, when it comes to support, we want to make sure that our customers are satisfied with our service. So in Salesforce, what you can do is you can create fields to capture this type of information. So in our test org, we've actually created a custom field called Customer Satisfaction Level. So we're going to jump back into the training org, and you can just watch or you can click along. If you click onto the Cases tab, Ben's just going to bring up an example of a case. So we've just gone to the Cases tab, we've opened up a case, and in the last spot of the first section, you can see an example of a custom field. So this isn't a standard field. You would have to go in and create a field like this. But this is a way that our company, AW Computing, is able to track customer satisfaction level. Now, how you get the information into this case could be various ways. It could be a survey. You might poll them over the phone. But you capture the information, and it'll be stored here. Okay? So let's go back into our training deck. So now that we have this custom field, customer satisfaction level, Brian's keen to track the average customer satisfaction level by agent. We want to make sure, that our agents are at a certain standard of providing service to our customers, and he wants to be able to monitor that very quickly. So we're going to go in and we're going to take that same standard report that we looked at before, and we're going to customize it. Okay, and we're going to show the average customer support level by agent. So let's go ahead and work on our second report. Let's click on to the Reports tab. And we want to go to total cases created by agent. So if you go to your support folder, okay, so we're going back into the standard folder, support reports. And we're looking for the standard report, total cases created by agent. This is the same report that we used in exercise 1. Now we can change the date frame here, or we can change it when we're in the wizard. Let's go ahead and click Customize. And when we customize this, this is the area, the second step in the wizard, this is the area that we can sum information, average, show the highest value, the smallest value. What we want to do is we want to track the average customer support level. So you're looking for the field called Customer Support Level, and you're ticking average. All right, fantastic. Let's go to the next step. And we want to group the information. We're happy to group it by case owner, but within case owner, we want to see their customer satisfaction level. So how many 3s have they got? How many 4s have they got? How many 5s? And also by average. So the second way we're going to filter the information, we're going to group the information is by customer satisfaction level. And you'll need to scroll down right to the bottom. Okay, so scroll down right to the bottom. Because it's a custom field, your custom fields show at the bottom of the pick list. So scroll down to the bottom of your pick list, and you'll see customer support. Okay, a couple of helpers. If I can grab a couple of helpers over here. Fantastic. All right, let's click on to the next step. All right, so what fields of information do we want to show or not show? Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify this a little bit. Let's untick open. Let's untick date, time opened. Let's uncheck closed. And let's also uncheck age, hours. There's a couple of additional fields I want to see. I want to also be able to see where the case originated from, whether it was an email, a phone, okay, or the web. So you're going to see a field in the second column that's called case origin. So go ahead and check that. And we also want to be able to track the status. Okay, so on your fourth column, you will see a field in there called status. There it is. Okay, so we've checked case origin, we've checked status. Let's go ahead to the next step. Okay, this is a way that you can sort the columns, the order. So from left to right, this is how we choose to display our columns. So let's just stick with our defaults. And we'll go ahead and go to the next step. Now the time frame, okay? How do we want to see our cases? Well, we want to go by close date. So I'm not so concerned about when it was open. I also actually want to track the cases by close date. Okay, so that's our preference here. So instead of in the far right-hand, left-hand corner, okay, instead of filtering it by open date, we're going to choose the day it was closed. Okay, so let's choose close date. Now we can go in and put in our start date and end date to January 1st, but I also want to show you that there's a duration filter where you can use relative dates. So rather than hard coding your date ranges, right, what you can do here is you can choose current CY. So just scroll down a little bit more and you'll see current CY. That would show me current calendar year. So you can see the start and the end date. Salesforce knows what year we're in, right? So we're going to choose the current calendar year. Now these relative dates will tick over. So when it says calendar year, if I use this report on January 1st, that filter is actually going to tick over to January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2010. Okay? So that's a nice thing about using these type of relative dates. Okay, you may want to track things like calls made last week or calls made yesterday. You don't want to have to put in the dates all the time. You can use those relative dates. Okay, so let's take a look at our advanced filters, we want to make sure that we're only showing closed cases. So let's go ahead and choose our advanced filter, and let's choose closed. So you're looking for the filter closed equals, and using your lookup, we're looking for true. We only want to show closed cases. Okay, good stuff. Let's now go to the last step of the reports wizard. Now, Brian's able to run this report, and he's able to see the numbers every time he runs a report. But we can do one better. We can even display a chart to display all the information. And charts are great because it gives you that graphical representation of all that data that you're seeing. So let's go ahead, where it says a chart type, I'd like to go ahead and show a vertical column. Okay, and that vertical column is going to represent the average customer satisfaction level, okay, by case owner. Okay. Now, when we take a look at the chart types, we're showing vertical columns. But Ben, can you just go ahead and open up the chart types in the top filter? Okay. Those are all your options in creating chart types. So I've gone with vertical column. I think that nicely displays the information. You can always go with horizontal, with a line, with a pie chart, whatever you think is appropriate to show the data. Okay, so I just wanted to show you had other options for charts. Thanks, Ben. Okay, now for our chart title, okay, let's put in, okay, customer satisfaction level by agent. And also with this chart, as a default, it's going to show the report information, and then it's going to show your graph or your chart at the bottom of your report. If I just want quick information, I can actually show the graph or the chart on top of my report. So where you've put in the chart title, over to your right, you're going to see location. Go ahead and choose top of report. Excellent. You can even get into some funky changes like changing the background color or the title size or color. We'll just leave the defaults. All right, let's take a look at what our report looks like. Oh, by the way, you have data labels as well. So this is with our new chart analytics enhancement that was released earlier this year. We have new options where we can put more information on the chart itself. So where you see data labels, go ahead and check all of those options, and we're able to see that there's more labeling that you can add to the chart. Okay, so go ahead and tick those data label options. Okay, go ahead and run the report. And what we can see here, if you imagine if you're the VP of support, you immediately see a chart that catches your eye, and you're able to very quickly chart the average customer satisfaction level by agent. So maybe you have a goal or a key performance indicator or a metric where you don't want customer satisfactions falling below, say, 3.8. You can very easily and quickly track it using this chart. And if you scroll down, this is a way that you can see more details in that report. And again, we're showing a summed view. If I was the VP of support, you know, not only do I want to see the customer satisfaction level, but I may want to track it by customer as well. So Ben, go ahead and show details. So if you go up to the top, let's show each of those case records. And if we scroll down, if I open it up, I can actually see my last column. I'm also displaying the account name. So I may just want to make sure that my key customers, okay, they're not in a low scoring area. All right, fantastic. So let's hide details. And let's go ahead and save this report. So let's choose Save As. And let's call this Customer Satisfaction Level. And in our description, so we're going to, in our report name, we'll call it Customer Satisfaction Level. In the description, let's put in some more details. Let's call it Customer Satisfaction Level on closed cases by agent. Okay. That way I know exactly what I'm expecting to see when I run this report by looking at the description. Okay, so customer satisfaction level on closed cases by agent. And let's go ahead and store this in the Agent Productivity Reports folder. Okay, let's save it. And again, if we take a look at our custom folder, Agent Productivity Reports, okay, we're quickly building up our customized folder. Okay, so that's our second example. That's our second exercise. Let's move on to our last exercise, our third exercise. And this is where, okay, we want to be able to see closed cases by month per agent. So as a VP of support, I want to be tracking by month, okay, the number of closed cases by agent. This is a way that I could perhaps track trends as well. And I also want to show the information by channel. So not only do I want to show the information by agent per month, right, I also want to be able to see the channel. So here we're going to go in and we're actually going to create a brand new custom report from scratch. Okay, we're going to choose the report format, we're going to select the columns, and then we're going to apply charts and highlights. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at creating this report from scratch. So let's start on the Reports tab. And at the top, we'll have a button where we can start our very own report from scratch, and that will be the Create New Custom Report button. All right, so the first thing you need to do when you're creating a report from the very beginning is you have to choose what data do I want to run a report on. So this is going to show you all the objects that you have in Salesforce. So we're actually going to choose our category instead of accounts and contacts. We're going to choose Customer Support Reports. Okay. By choosing that object, so you're looking for Customer Support Reports, you have an option to choose to run a report on cases, which is what we're going to select. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Next. Okay. Anyone need a hand? Just raise your hand, please. All right, so this is where we can choose what kind of format do we want our report. The first option is a tabular report. This is just going to show us a very simple list of information. So it's a list of information. You can show a grand total at the bottom, but there's no grouping the information and there's no subtotals. A summary report, you can group and you can show subtotals. And a matrix, you can group and you can subtotal both horizontally and vertically. So it's a lot like a pivot table in Excel. Okay? We're actually going to go with matrix. Let's choose matrix. And the idea with this report is I want to show case owner by month, okay? And then across the matrix report, I want to show by channel. So whether it was how many were emails, how many were phones, how many were online. So let's go ahead and show you how to build a matrix report. So if you're showing a matrix report where you're grouping and you're subtotaling both horizontally and vertically, okay, in the first step, we have to decide how we want to group the information on the left-hand column. Okay, so we're going to group the information by case owner. So I want to group the information initially by case owner. And then because we want to track it by month, okay, let's go ahead and choose close date. Okay, and you can decide how you want to track the information. Now, you may choose to track the information by week or by quarter. Okay, we're going to go by month, and we're going to choose calendar month. Okay, so the grouping on the left-hand column is going to show case owner, and then within each case owner grouping, we're going to show calendar month. Now, at the top, we can further group it within a matrix report. So I want to show by channel how these cases are coming in. So we're going to choose case origin. Okay, case origin. Okay, excellent. Let's move on to the next step. So how do we want to sum information? We're going to sum the closed cases. So you're looking for your field called closed, and go ahead and check sum. Okay. And now let's move on to the next step. Okay. By the way, we are going step by step by step. Ben, would you mind just clicking on to the step filter at the top? This is just showing you don't have to go step 2, 3, 4. You can jump back, you can jump forward. You can even run the report at any stage because you'll see run report at the very bottom. Okay. All right, so what fields of information do we want to see? Let's go ahead and uncheck some of these fields that we don't need. Let's go ahead and uncheck open, date, time opened, okay, closed, and also age, hour. Now I want to display the case origin, so we need to check case origin. You're looking in your third column, and you'll see the column case origin. Okay, and I also want to be tracking the status. So in your fourth column, find your status field and go ahead and check that. I want to see that in my report. Okay, good stuff. Let's click next. Okay, again, from the fields that you selected in the last step, this is a way that you can order your columns from left to right. We're happy with that. Let's leave the defaults, and let's go ahead and click next. Okay. All right, so in terms of our time frame, how do we want to be tracking the information? This year, last year, from the beginning of time, that's up to you. In this particular exercise, we want to track it for this current year. Now again, you can hard code and put in the start and end date, or you can use your duration filter. So we're going to choose by close date. Sorry, I'll start at the far left-hand pick list. So the date field that we want to track is actually the close date. Okay, so we're not so concerned in this exercise when the case was open. I want to track it by the close date. So let's choose close date, and the duration, let's go ahead and choose current CY. Okay, good stuff, and you can see the start and the end date has automatically been filled in. So for this, I only want to show closed cases. So in my advanced filters, okay, I'm going to choose closed equals, and we are looking for true. Okay. All right, so we've put in our advanced filters. Let's go to the last step where we're going to apply charts. All right, so the chart type that we're going to choose is vertical column grouped. Okay. And how we want to display the first axis, the y-axis, is we want to show it by record count. So along the y-axis, we actually want to use the record count. So let's change sum of close to record count. Okay, along the x-axis, let's choose close date. And by grouping, we actually want to group it by case owner. Okay, so if you imagine on the y-axis, it's going to show record count. Okay, x-axis is going to show the close date by month. Okay, and we're going to group it by case owner. All right, let's name our chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and call it closed cases by month by agent. And again, you have all those options at the very bottom. The data labels, we can add more labels to our chart. So go ahead and check those 3 check boxes at the bottom. Excellent. Let's go ahead and let's run this report and see what data we come up with. Okay. And what we can see here is that we can see a complex report, a matrix report, that's showing us cases by agent, okay, by month, and it's showing us how the case originated. So whether it was email, phone, web, or chat. Now, there's not a lot of data in our test org, but we get the idea by looking at this chart, okay, by looking at this report. Scrolling down a little bit further, this is where we can see all the information in a nice graph. So very quickly, Brian, the VP of support, can track trends. So perhaps there's certain months, for whatever reason, maybe it's seasonal, where we get more cases. less cases. Okay, so this may be a way that I need to manage my staff, make sure that there's enough staff to handle those peak hours. Okay. He can also be tracking by origin, right? So if we are tracking, where are the cases actually coming from? Are they predominantly coming from email? Are they predominantly coming from phone? We can see that very quickly. Okay. Maybe we're offering a new channel, chat, for example, and we can see how that's tracking. And again, as a VP of support, I can use this information in order to allocate my resources, okay, or allocate more R&D in certain areas. Okay. All right, so that's our example of a matrix report. So we can track closed cases by month, by date, and we're also showing you a chart to see that information. So let's go ahead and click Save. Okay. And let's name this report Closed Cases by Month. And let's call this Closed Cases by Month per Agent. And we may even want to show details of case origin. So you might even put in the description, in brackets, case origin. Something like that. Let's go ahead and save that in the agent productivity reports. And let's go ahead and click Save. And when we take a look at our custom folder, you can see it on this screen. So you can either go to the folder or you can open it up on this screen here. We very quickly created 3 ideal reports for VP Management, VP of Support, Support Manager. All right, so that completes our third exercise and our last exercise. We can go back to our training deck. Okay. So that completes our session. I hope you learned something new in this reports hands-on training session. This is just a small component in some of the additional offerings that we have. So we have a full 4-day class which gives you much more details on analytics as well as dashboards. So feel free. We have Nicole at the back, who's one of our TAEs. She'll be able to answer any questions in terms of what more offerings we have. Or you can go to our Success Team booth, and you can learn more about our certification and our learning path. By the way, this morning, I believe it's at 11:30, I'll be conducting a session on building dashboards to drive agent productivity. So whenever we build dashboards, we have to learn how to do the reports first. That's what we covered in this class. At 11:30, if you're interested, we're actually going to take these reports or similar reports and build dashboards so you can see all that information in a nice dashboard. Okay, so that's at 11:30, I believe. Okay, so the next step, I hope everyone enjoyed their session. If I could just ask you to take a moment to fill out our course survey. We're getting feedback on each of our courses that we're running, so please let us know how you found this course. If you click onto the Home tab, and in the left-hand area, you're going to see a link for course survey. Okay, it should just take you a minute. It'd be fantastic if you could just fill this out before you dash. The course session name is Building Reports to Analyze Agent Productivity. Building Reports to Analyze Agent Productivity. Okay. And if you could just go ahead, give us some feedback. Okay. Our team's taking a look at every single one of these surveys.
We're now offering a gift for those who are certified Black Crow t-shirts at the back of the room.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure those who are certified.
Okay, so I just heard off the press, we're offering free Black Crows t-shirts for all certified administrators. So go to the Success Team booth and find out more information about that. Fantastic. All right, so are there any, oh, sorry, they're actually delivered to us right here. So they're actually at the back of the room. You don't even have to go to the Success Team booth. So those of you that are certified administrators, first of all, congratulations. And you can go to the back, and Clive and Jay are standing there right now, and they will give you a free Black Crows t-shirt. Okay? All right, excellent. Well, I'll be sticking around. We do need to change the room for the next session, but if you have any questions, I'll be sticking around, so feel free. But otherwise, thank you so much. I know it was a really early start. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Dreamforce experience. All right, thank you.